So thank you for the invitation to come here. Sorry I could not join the whole meeting this morning. Not to say I was too busy, but I was too busy. But I'm happy to be there. I wanted to be there at least physically, even if I understand this meeting is also a hybrid meeting where I could have presented remotely, but I thought it was important to be here to give you some insight from another part of before Horizon 2020 and now Horizon Europe. So you heard about the infrastructure framework, and I will present more what we are doing now under Horizon Europe clusters and what were societal challenges before. And actually, I guess they should be complementary actions, and I'm always wondering how far infrastructures are actually interacting with other typically more collaborative projects. And I guess it happens, probably you will have replies, but I'm always wondering whether there is intense interaction between those projects. So I would like to recall you, but I guess all of you know of this, the challenges that the livestock production is facing nowadays. And I will go through a number of them before moving maybe to some projects that we have in the domain, mostly on feed-related issues, because I think it's kind of the main activities that were around Smart Cow, but also other aspects, and looking a little bit into Horizon Europe. So obviously the livestock sector is very important in economical terms, in an agriculture perspective, but in general in the economy. 400 million annual euros turnover. More than half of the farms have livestock in the EU, and the total agricultural value is 40% for livestock. But the challenges are really multiple. First, the environment. Well, it's all about sustainability at the end of the day. If we look at environment, the social dimension or the economic dimension. On environment, obviously the contribution to livestock, to climate change, the air pollution, soil and water pollution possibly, or excess of nutrients, impact of agriculture, directly or through the feed produce that is consumed by animals, impact on biodiversity. The social aspects, I would say human health mostly, if we think about antimicrobial resistance and issues like this, and obviously animal welfare, which is an increasing societal concern. And also the economic aspects, ensuring a fair transition in the transition needed for a more sustainable production, but also thinking of the incomes of farmers and livestock farmers to ensure a fairer income for those. The livestock impact on climate and environment, I will not go through all of these, but certainly, and that was from 2010, I think, Leip and Owl, basically concluding that livestock represents the main emission sources, some 86% within agriculture, and 50% of it coming from enteric fermentation and manure management. And with different aspects, with methane, nitrous oxide, or carbon dioxide. So this is an issue linked intrinsically to the livestock production. Another issue is not only livestock per se, but also the trends that have been there in concentration, specialization, and geographical distribution. Probably there are too many livestock in some places and not enough in other ones. But it's not so easy to change that situation. There are drivers that make it difficult to change this, probably. Now, the livestock impact on human and animal health and welfare. Well, some claim, and I guess it's fair to claim, that there is excessive meat consumption in some regions of the world, in some categories of population, but this would be linked to chronic diseases. We have also the issue of animal welfare that plays is maybe the wrong word, on human emotions. And certainly there is now a pressure to improve animal welfare in livestock production. And animal welfare is actually one of the actions planned under the Farm to Fork strategy. Antimicrobial resistance is certainly an issue. How far is veterinary use of antimicrobials contributing to AMR in humans? It's contributing. It's not the only source, obviously, but it's contributing. We have also now, we've seen with COVID in the early phases of trying to understand the origin of SARS-CoV-2, whether livestock would play a critical role in transmission or emergence of zoonosis. So I would say a number of challenges and issues. Now, we should not forget about the positive aspects of livestock production. You know about these, converting non-edible biomass into highly nutritious food. We know also that globally, not at EU level, but globally, more than 50% of the land used for feed production is not suitable for food production, when we think about the challenges and the competition between feed and food. And certainly, livestock farming ensures a vitality, rural vitality, where it's sometimes the only sustainable economic activity, at least in the current circumstances. And certainly, animal byproducts provide raw materials for hundreds of different products. Yep. Sorry.
You can see the slide here.
Yeah, no, yes, I could do like this. But I think I missed, here it's okay. So there was a report, a kind of famous report after the livestock long shadow in 2006. But the Rice Foundation produced a report and putting the question, is there a safe operating space for livestock? And here you have the summary table of the benefits and negative impacts of livestock. We can discuss it and each and every aspects, but there are a number of benefits, but I mentioned already before a number of negative impacts perceived or absolutely real from livestock production. And again, we have to see with the diversity of production systems in the EU, different types of livestock, ruminants are not the same as pigs and poultry, etc. The challenges and the impacts and the difficulties are quite different. And also, in this report, there was an idea that obviously we could reduce the negative impact of livestock production, so at sources, try to work on resource efficiency, and I think this is an essential element of the work you have been doing in Smart Cow. The manure management and processing and reuse organic fertilizers, use them better, maybe use manure also for some other activities like biogas production. Certainly also reducing the density and concentration of livestock. Remember what I said in a few slides before. And certainly a large scope for innovation in breeding, nutrition, housing, and other aspects. But probably, and we will see in the policy aspects in a minute, that this will certainly not be enough, and certainly there is a need for a shift and a reduction in consumption of livestock products. Changing the species balance in the consumption, probably, it might be better to eat more ruminant meat than other ones, but it depending on which aspects we look at. And maybe substituting new protein sources like insect, algae, or possibly cultured meat. Changing diets to less protein and more plant-based protein diets. So the need certainly to work on both ends, both aspects, production, but also consumption. The policy framework, the European Green Deal, I don't want to go into the details of this, but one key element is the Farm to Fork strategy, which is targeting a transition to more sustainable agriculture production. But there are also policies that are related to livestock production, directly or indirectly, like the climate policy and other policies like biodiversity as well. In the Farm to Fork strategy, there are a number of targets and objectives that have to be achieved by 2030. One is about the sales of antimicrobials used in livestock production, including aquaculture, the reduction by 50% of nutrient losses and this is important certainly for livestock, the livestock sector, reducing by 20% the use of chemical fertilizers, reducing by 50% the use of chemical pesticides. And another important dimension, moving towards 25% of agricultural land under organic farming, and there may be some opportunities, not only for plants but also for livestock. Now, if we look at the different the specific policies or legislative actions, you have an action plan for integrated nutrient management to reduce the pollution from fertilizers. You have a revision of the sustainable use of pesticides. You have the zero pollution action plan, the organic action plan. We could list many of those. It's not an exhaustive list here, but a number of them directly or indirectly are influencing livestock production conditions. Also on the European climate law, the European climate law is turning the European Green Deal targets into kind of legal obligations, and there is now an aim to reach climate neutrality by 2050 and a commitment to negative emissions after 2050, and reducing net greenhouse gas emissions by at least 55% by 2030. And there is now a process to set a climate target for 2040. And a number of actions are linked to it. Here are highlighted actions in the land use, forestry and agriculture regulation, and on the effort sharing regulation that are linked to climate targets, just to illustrate that basically in the European legislation, there are two pieces of legislation that directly or indirectly affect livestock production, from forest to field production crops, feed production, and production of animals. And here you have to the left, what is related mostly to land use and land use change, which is related mostly to carbon dioxide, and the agriculture non-CO2 part for methane and nitrous oxide in the effort sharing scheme. And those are being discussed again at EU level. The part on agriculture non-CO2 is really all human-induced, while the other ones is partly induced by human activities. And again, this is a kind of summary. To the left, you have the different pieces of legislation. It's not exhaustive, but you see also at the center, more or less what we are trying to develop and fund in research. I'm not sure we are policy makers in the unit where we work in Agri, but we are planning research, or we are supposed to do this. So we can maybe claim that we are kind of research policy makers, but not policy makers as such. So we are looking at the different dimensions, is what we do, what we have been doing in Horizon 2020 and are going on doing in the Horizon Europe, looking at the pasturing, grazing management, mixed farming, etc. Also looking at alternative sources of proteins, at microbial ecosystems, looking at animal health and welfare, at animal breeding, genetics and genomics, at manure and slurry management, at nutrition and feeding strategies, looking into or addressing the issues of air quality, greenhouse gas balance, soil quality, and water quality. This is at the core of what we do in Horizon 2020, which is linked to certain policies in support of the research we are doing in the framework program with the CAP and the so-called EIP Agri, with the focus groups, the operational groups, and the thematic networks. If there are questions, we can go to this, but I don't want to extend on this. But we want to ensure that we have the research components that goes to some extent from basic research to applied research, but linking also to innovation and implementation, hopefully with the help of the EIP Agri and other actions. The CIP being also a tool to enable farmers to transition, let's say, to improve practices for transitioning to more sustainable practices. Now, if you want to know about all the projects that we have, this is really the list of fact sheets that we have in the different domains, summarizing the different projects that we have on animal health and welfare, on breeding, on different things. They are available. You have the link at the bottom of the slide. And here is a summary, again, or an explanation of the different dimensions on projects. If you look at the Horizon 2020 projects on livestock production, it's more or less 300 million euros for the 7th period of Horizon 2020. We looked into feeding, where we put more than 20 million, manure, more than 20 million euros, genotype and environment and breeding, more than 50 million euros, on grassland system, more than 50 million euros. It's not always specifically on livestock, but you will see in the next slide. For instance, here on alternative sources of feed and food. Actually, when we think about alternative proteins or alternative sources, usually we look at feed or food. If you develop algae, they could be used for feed and food. For insects, they could be used for feed and food. So, and here you have a number of projects with their logos on different actions and different domains. I will not go through all of these, but you see that we are investing in different parts, and in particular, looking at the feed issues for Smart Cow, a number of projects in alternative feeds. I think is missing here one that should be known, but it's not only on alternative feeds. It was a project called Feedogene. The coordinator is in this room. Now, moving to Horizon Europe, I think I have maybe 2 or 3 slides only. For Horizon Europe, you heard about the missions. Maybe I would not have highlighted only the soil health mission. Here you have 3 missions that could be potentially relevant. Obviously, the soil health mission is the most important one. But if we look at ocean and waters, think of alternative protein, algae, etc. This is one thing. Adaptation to climate change. For livestock, it will be important to have means of adapting to a changing climate also there, be it for health or for production, for thermoresistance, etc. So we have these missions, but I would like just to say that we have also the kind of renewed instruments, the so-called partnerships, which are supposed to be big instruments that where we will target different parts and different challenges, let's say. We have one on agroecology living labs and research infrastructures. So we don't really fund per se infrastructures, but that particular partnership is in the making. And the 4 partnerships here are planned for the work program 23-24. This one, agroecology living labs, could obviously cover not only plants and crops, but also animals. The partnership on animal and health, or animal health and welfare, the title should be changed actually, is one which is clear. We have also one on agriculture of data that will look into a lot of data management for agriculture and environment, and another partnership about safe and sustainable food systems. So looking at the whole food system, livestock can play and have to play a role there as well. And we believe that the research can be a key enabler to face those challenges, to address those challenges and find solutions. And we have developed so far internal documents, so-called roadmaps for Horizon Europe implementation in different domains. You have here the list of these roadmaps that cover quite similar domains as those covered by the fact sheets that I mentioned before for under Horizon 2020. Now, moving to very concrete things, to illustrate a little bit that in the Horizon Europe we want to go on and addressing different issues. You have here, I'm not sure you can read it on the screens, the topics that we have put in the work program 21-22. And there, the calls are closed. So it's just for reference, and maybe some of you are involved in proposals submitted to these topics. I would not be too surprised. So we have one on protein crop systems, which was open in 2021, one on animal welfare 2.0, mostly about data and monitoring of animal welfare, one on vaccines and diagnostics for animal disease, one on One Health approach to food and nutrition security with an international dimension, one on biosecurity in terrestrial livestock production, one in support to international research on infectious diseases of animals, one on ecology of infectious animal diseases. This is under the destination 2, which was targeting sustainable food systems. from farm to fork. In other destinations, like the circular bioeconomy, there was a topic on marginal lands and climate resilient and biodiversity friendly crops for sustainable industrial feedstocks and related value chain. And the destination 4 on clean environment and zero pollution. There was a topic on the environmental impact and trade-offs of alternative fertilizing products at global and local scale. Organic manure would be relevant here. And in destination 5, there was this topic open in 2021 about resilient farming systems under climate change, with quite a significant budget plan there. Also one on agroecological approach for climate change mitigation, resilient agriculture production, and enhanced biodiversity. And finally, one about agroforestry, how to link agroforestry to crop and animal production. So this is a kind of a list. I cannot tell you what will be in 23-24. We are not supposed to tell you. I can only tell you that there will be something for you.
So, thank you. You can stay here. Thank you, Jean-Charles, for this very interesting overview. We are a bit late, but we will take one or two questions before moving to the round table. Other question, Lucille?
You were mentioning the Horizon Europe missions and partnerships. Where do you see exactly the possible contribution of Smart Cow in this? Is it only answering to calls, or is it something else contributing to the draft partnerships also?
Yeah.
Or?
There have been groups to draft, let's say, the kind of pre-proposal or dossiers of these different partnerships, and the different drafting groups have included usually stakeholders, sometimes representatives of projects, of big projects, into the discussion. The dossier now has been submitted to DG Research and Innovation. We had review, and they are being finalized. Now I think the second step has just started, which is about developing a strategic research and innovation agenda. So more concrete dimensions, not the general what and how, but really the more a roadmap, kind of roadmap. And there again, I think the drafting groups will and are involving different types of actors and stakeholders. But there should be also, once the SREA is reasonably advanced, there should be a consultation, quite large consultation of different stakeholders. So that can also take place at this stage, this element. Now, I cannot say very much about how for instance, the agroecology partnership will work with the idea of living labs. In the title is mentioned also infrastructures. But that I'm not dealing on a daily basis with this one, so I cannot say exactly how it would work. I don't think that Smart Co would be an obvious and immediate contributor in this issue of living labs for the agroecology living labs. But certainly infrastructures will be needed for a number of these partnerships and the actions to be organized. So either the entities that are part of the infrastructure, or maybe the infrastructures themselves, if they are a legal entity, let's say it like this, if an infrastructure is a legal entity, it could become potentially a beneficiary or a member of a partnership. That's feasible. And this discussion of, I raised the point before my presentation about how to connect infrastructures to projects, and I should have said projects and partnerships. This is something that we need actually to further discuss and elaborate. And I think if I take another situation for health and welfare, there is an infrastructure VetBioNet. It's coming to an end. I'm not too sure what status it will be in the future, but we will need those type of infrastructures in a partnership for animal health and welfare.
Okay, thank you very much for Jimena and Jean-Charles. Hope you can stay for hearing or participating to the round table.
Yep.
But that is coming now.